Before ascending to heaven, Jesus Christ left a teaching that was never recorded in the traditional Gospels, a spiritual technique so powerful that it was deliberately hidden from the sacred texts. Edgar Cayce, in his profound readings of the Akashic records, brought this lost wisdom to light. What you are about to discover can completely transform your spiritual journey. But be warned, this knowledge is not for everyone. Only those whose hearts are ready to awaken will be able to absorb this truth. There is a place where words lose their power, a sacred space where the soul stops pleading and begins to remember who it truly is. Edgar Cayce revealed that Jesus' last teaching was not a doctrine, not a commandment written in stone, but a state of consciousness. The true portal between the human and the divine has always been silence. Imagine for a moment, you are standing before the Master in the final moments before his ascension. The disciples await another parable, another instruction, but Jesus does not speak. He simply looks deeply into the eyes of each of them and breathes. In that silence, everything is conveyed. There are no words because truth transcends language. Cayce explained that Jesus taught his closest disciples that the most powerful prayer is not the one that comes from the lips, but the one that emerges from the heart in perfect silence. When you stop asking, when you stop bargaining with the divine, when you simply dissolve into the presence of God, something extraordinary happens. Your limited self disappears and the inner Christ breathes through you. This was the lost technique, transforming silence into true communion. Not the forced silence of repression, but the living silence of surrender. In the modern world, we have been conditioned to fear silence. We fill every moment with noise, distractions, incessant thoughts. Jesus knew that we need to return to that empty space, because it is precisely there that God dwells. When you enter this sacred silence, the heart stops asking and begins to receive. It doesn't receive material things, but it receives the very essence of divinity. It's as if a door opens within your chest and the light of the universe begins to flow without hindrance. This was the secret that the Gospels could not record, because it cannot be written, only experienced. Edgar Cayce described in his readings a technique that Jesus personally demonstrated to his most devoted apostles. It was a special way of breathing, but it wasn't just about the air entering and leaving the lungs. It was what he called the breath of the soul, a breath that raised the vibration of the entire physical body and prepared the human temple to receive the presence of the Holy Spirit. Jesus taught that each breath should be conscious, as if you were inhaling not just oxygen, but the very light of the cosmos. Each exhalation was a release of everything that was not divine within you. Worries, fears, illusions of the ego, all of that left with the used air, and what entered was pure spirit. Cayce revealed that this sacred breath caused the heart to beat in perfect synchronicity with the rhythm of the universe. Imagine your heart beating in the same rhythm as the stars turn, as the galaxies expand, as God's own consciousness moves through creation. This was the alignment that Jesus sought in his disciples. When you breathe in this way, you are no longer separate from the cosmos. You become one with the universal mind. This technique was the true meaning behind the mystical words. The kingdom of God is within you. Jesus wasn't speaking of a poetic metaphor. He was giving a practical instruction. The kingdom isn't in some distant heaven, waiting for you after death. It's here, now, within your own body. And the key to accessing it is conscious breathing. Every time you breathe in with full presence, you are saying yes to divine life. Every time you breathe out with gratitude, you are releasing everything that keeps you imprisoned in the illusion of separation. Jesus demonstrated this not only with words, but with his own body. He breathed in light and exhaled love. And when you do the same, something changes in the fundamental structure of your existence. The disciples who practiced this breathing technique reported profound experiences. They felt their bodies vibrate in inexplicable ways. They saw inner lights, heard celestial sounds, and experienced a peace that surpassed any rational understanding. It wasn't imagination. It was the breath activating dormant energy centers within them. It was the inner Christ awakening through conscious breath. And you? Have you stopped today to truly breathe? If this message is touching your heart, leave a like now and share it with someone who needs to know this truth. There is a dimension of healing that few know. Edgar Cayce brought to light a revolutionary teaching. Jesus used the power of sound as a direct instrument of spiritual transformation. These were not memorized prayers, nor traditional religious hymns. They were specific vibrations, sacred frequencies that harmonize the subtle bodies of the human being. The Master taught the apostles to chant sounds that did not form words in any known language. They were pure vocalizations, vibrations that resonated in the bones, organs, and cells. Cayce explained that these frequencies were similar to the ancient chants of lost civilizations, knowledge that Jesus carried in his soul from previous eras. When you chant one of these sacred vibrations, something extraordinary happens in the energy field around you. Dense emotions begin to dissolve. Traumas stored in the body for decades begin to disintegrate. Emotional blockages that seemed permanent simply disappear. Why? Because sound is creation. In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was not a word, it was a pure vibration of divine consciousness. Jesus knew this profoundly. He understood that the entire universe is made of sound, of frequency, of vibration. When you align your voice with the right frequencies, you are literally reshaping the energetic structure of your being. You are tuning your soul to the frequency of divine love. But this technique was considered extremely dangerous by the religious authorities of the time. Why? Because it gave people total spiritual autonomy. You didn't need an intermediary. You didn't need a temple. You didn't need a priest. You had the power to heal within your own voice. This threatened the entire established system of spiritual control. For this reason, these teachings were systematically erased from the records. They were called heresy, pagan practices, dangerous rituals. But the truth is that Jesus was simply teaching people how to access their own divine power through sound. Every human being carries within themselves the capacity to emit healing frequencies. It's just a matter of awakening this ancient memory. Cayce described how his disciples, after practicing these vocalizations for weeks, began to manifest extraordinary gifts. Their healing abilities expanded naturally. They could alleviate pain with just their voice, balance altered emotional states, and even positively influence the energy field of entire environments. It wasn't magic. It was spiritual science that humanity had forgotten. There is a power in the gaze that goes far beyond what science can explain. Edgar Cayce revealed that Jesus dedicated significant time to teaching his disciples the art of conscious observation. It wasn't simply seeing with physical eyes. It was seeing with the eyes of the soul. It was observing without judging, perceiving without projecting, recognizing without fear. Imagine standing before someone who has deeply hurt you. All your emotional wounds cry out for justice, for revenge, for distance. But Jesus taught something different. He taught that at that exact moment you have a choice, to see the person through the eyes of your wounded ego or through the eyes of Christ. When you choose the latter, everything changes. Before we continue, if you're enjoying our content and would like to support our work and become part of our exclusive community, become a channel member. Besides helping us continue bringing you amazing content, you'll have access to special benefits. Click the button, become a member, and join us. The gaze of Christ consciousness is one that can see beyond masks, beyond behaviors, beyond mistakes. It is the gaze that recognizes the divine spark even in those who are completely lost in darkness. Jesus did this constantly. He looked at prostitutes, tax collectors, criminals, and saw what no one else could see, the sleeping light of God waiting to awaken. Cayce explained that this wasn't merely a matter of emotional compassion. It was a precise spiritual technique. When you look at someone truly with the eyes of divine consciousness, you're not just being kind. You're altering the energy field around that person. You're sending a frequency of recognition that touches their soul in invisible but profoundly real ways. Christ's gaze did not heal through any external magical power. It healed through recognition. When Jesus looked at a leper, he did not see the disease. He saw divinity, and this recognition was so powerful, so absolute, that the person's body began to reorganize itself to correspond to that vision. Healing happened because someone had finally seen the truth about that being. This practice completely transforms the person who undertakes it. When you begin to look at people this way, you can no longer hate anyone. You can no longer feel superior or inferior. You see that everyone is on the same path, just at different stages. You become the mirror of God, reflected in humanity. And that is perhaps the greatest miracle, transforming your judgmental gaze into a gaze of love. Jesus told his disciples, first practice with those you love. Look at your children, your parents, your friends with this new perspective. Then gradually, extend this perspective to strangers. And finally, in the ultimate test, look at your enemies with the same eyes. When you can do this, you will have understood what it means to forgive 70 times 7. Edgar Cayce brought to light a truth that completely revolutionizes our understanding of spirituality. Jesus taught that the human heart is not merely a physical organ that pumps blood, nor simply the center of emotions. The heart is a dimensional portal. It is the meeting point between heaven and earth. It is the true temple of Jerusalem that Jesus mentioned in his most profound teachings. When Jesus spoke about destroying the temple and rebuilding it in 3 days, many thought he was referring to the physical stone temple. But Cayce revealed the hidden meaning. Jesus was speaking of the human heart. This is the temple that needs to be destroyed in its illusions and rebuilt in its divine truth. And this process doesn't take years. It can happen in 3 days of complete surrender. The heart is not a symbol. It is a real magnetic field, measurable by modern science, that extends for meters around the body. This field has the power to influence other people, environments, even reality itself. Jesus knew this 2,000 years ago. He taught his disciples to focus all their attention on this sacred center. When you focus your awareness on the heart, something extraordinary begins to happen. You are no longer living solely in the linear mind that calculates plans and worries. You are accessing a higher intelligence. The heart has its own brain, its own neurons, its own way of processing information. And this way is holistic, intuitive, directly connected to universal wisdom. Cayce described how Jesus taught a specific meditation of the heart. It wasn't simply imagining love or feeling gratitude, although that's part of it. It was learning to literally move your consciousness from the brain to the heart. It was teaching the soul to reside in that sacred space. And when you do that consistently, the doors of perception open. The disciples who mastered this practice began to have experiences that defied all logic. Visions of other dimensions, encounters with beings of light, memories of past lives, precise premonitions of the future, not because they developed special powers, but because they learned to live in the only place where all dimensions meet, the human heart, in a state of full consciousness. This technique was later called prayer of the heart in some mystical traditions, but over time it was distorted and censored. Religious authorities were afraid of what would happen if ordinary people discovered that they carried within their hearts a direct portal to God, so they hid this knowledge, simplified it, and transformed it into empty rituals. But the truth remains. Your heart is the gateway. When you learn to consciously enter it, you discover that the kingdom Jesus spoke of was never far away. It was always here, pulsating at the center of your being, patiently waiting for you to return home. Do you feel it? That truth resonating in your heart? If so, now is the time to like and share this message with those who are ready to awaken. In Edgar Cayce's most profound readings, there are striking descriptions of Jesus' final moments before his ascension. Witnesses reported a radiant golden light completely enveloping the Master's body. Many thought this light came from heaven, an external divine intervention. But Cayce revealed the shocking truth. The light emanated from within Jesus himself. This was the body of glory, the physical manifestation of the soul in its state of absolute purity. It wasn't something exclusive to Jesus. It was the dormant potential in every human being. The great revelation that Jesus wanted to convey before departing was precisely this. You too can do this. You too can transform your physical body into living light. How is this possible? Cayce explained that the human body is much more than flesh and bone. It is condensed energy. It is light at a low vibration. When you raise your consciousness through the spiritual practices that Jesus taught, when you align your personal will with the divine will, when you become transparent to God's love, something begins to change in the cellular structure of your body. The cells begin to vibrate at higher frequencies. The light that has always been trapped in matter begins to be released. You don't need to die to experience this. Jesus demonstrated that it's possible even in this life. The secret wasn't complicated, but it required something most people aren't willing to give: total surrender. Surrender does not mean passivity. Surrender means aligning every thought, every word, every action with the highest frequency of divine love. It means ceasing to live for the ego and beginning to live for the spirit. It means transforming every ordinary moment into a sacred act. When you live like this, the golden light begins to awaken within you. The disciples who witnessed the ascension were never the same. They saw with their own eyes that death is not real. They saw that the body can be transformed into light. They saw that Jesus was no different from them in essence, only an accomplishment, and that changed everything. It was no longer a matter of believing in something distant. It was a matter of committing to one's own transformation. Cayce insisted that this golden light can be awakened even in this life. It is not the privilege of saints or prophets. It is the natural destiny of every soul that chooses to return to its original truth. Every time you choose love instead of fear, every time you forgive instead of holding resentment, every time you serve instead of seeking to be served, you are activating this light within you. Imagine living in such a way that your entire body becomes translucent to the spirit, that people feel peace simply by being near you, that your presence heals environments, that your vibration uplifts everyone around you. This is not fantasy. It is what Jesus was showing as possible for all of humanity. Edgar Cayce revealed one of Jesus's most profound and least understood teachings, the need to unite the masculine and feminine aspects of the soul. We are not talking about physical gender. We are talking about archetypal energies that exist within every human being, regardless of the body they inhabit. The sacred masculine is the force of action, reason, structure, and manifestation. It is the solar aspect of consciousness. It is what gives you the courage to move forward, to build, to achieve. The sacred feminine is the force of receptivity, intuition, fluidity, and emotional wisdom. It is the lunar aspect of consciousness. It is what allows you to feel, connect, nurture, and create. Jesus taught that true enlightenment only happens when these two aspects are in perfect balance within you. When you have all the masculine strength but no feminine sensitivity, you become rigid, controlling, disconnected from your heart. When you have all the feminine receptivity but no masculine structure, you become unstable, lost, without direction. The inner Christ is born from this union. When feminine love meets masculine wisdom in sacred marriage within the soul, something new emerges. A third force, an integrated consciousness that transcends the limitations of both separate aspects. This was the superconsciousness that Jesus constantly demonstrated. Cayce explained that Jesus dedicated time to teaching this, especially to disciples who were stuck in extremes. To those who were very intellectual, very rational, very much in unbalanced masculine energy, he taught them to open their hearts, to cry, to feel, to receive. To those who were very emotional, very passive, very much in unbalanced feminine energy, he taught them to make decisions, to act, to manifest their truth. The salvation that Jesus promised was not being saved from an external hell. It was being saved from internal division. It was reuniting what had been separated. It was healing the primordial wound of the soul that had forgotten that it is both power and love, both strength and tenderness, both heaven and earth. When you achieve this balance, miracles become natural. You act at the right time with the right decision because your masculine wisdom is aligned. You deeply feel the needs of others because your feminine sensitivity is open. And from this perfect combination, true service is born. Authentic healing is born. Transformative love is born. Jesus demonstrated this in every gesture. He had the strength to confront the merchants in the temple and the tenderness to embrace a child. He had the wisdom to debate with the Pharisees and the humility to wash the feet of his disciples. He was a warrior and a poet. He was a prophet and a healer. He was the very union of heaven and earth walking in human form. And the final teaching was, you too are this union. Each human being is a complete universe, carrying within themselves all aspects of creation. Your spiritual journey is not about seeking something outside. It's about integrating what is already within. It's about marrying the separate parts of your soul. It's about recognizing that you are both the sun and the moon. And when you achieve this inner union, you become whole. You become Christ. There is a teaching that Jesus never spoke publicly. Edgar Cayce revealed that this teaching was transmitted only in the profound silence of the soul, from master to disciple, in moments of absolute spiritual communion. It was not written because it could not be captured in words. It was lived, felt, absorbed by pure vibration. The hidden commandment was simple in its formulation, but revolutionary in its practice. Be the light that seeks no return. It sounds poetic, almost abstract, but when you understand the depth of this instruction, your entire life is transformed from the inside out. Jesus was asking for something radical. He was saying, love, without expecting to be loved in return. Serve without waiting for recognition. Heal without seeking gratitude. Teach without demanding admiration. Give without calculating the return. Be the light simply because light is what you are, not because you expect something in return. That was the true secret of ascension. Ascension is not achieved by accumulating spiritual merit. Ascension is not achieved by performing charity expecting divine rewards. Ascension is achieved by becoming so transparent to God's love that there is no longer a separation between giver and receiver. You are no longer doing good. You have become good. Cayce explained that most people, even when practicing spirituality, are still trapped in the logic of exchange. I pray to God to give me something. I meditate to achieve peace. I help others to feel better. I seek enlightenment to escape suffering. There is always an underlying egoic motivation, even in the noblest actions. If this message is touching your heart and bringing new reflections to your life, know that each video we create here is made with great care and dedication. Our purpose is to spread spiritual knowledge, help more people awaken to their true essence, and strengthen this community of truth seekers. If this content made a difference to you, imagine how many souls can be enlightened by this same message. Here on YouTube, there's a simple and special way to support us. Through the button. It was totally worth it. This is a way to show that this content had a real impact on your life, and to help us continue producing quality materials, bringing knowledge and inspiration to those who need it most. Every contribution, no matter how small, is a gesture of gratitude and love, and makes all the difference in allowing us to continue this mission. But, regardless of anything else, the most important thing is your presence here. Your engagement, your comments, and your support are the energy that keeps this community alive and growing. If you can contribute, we will receive it with open hearts and immense gratitude. If you can't, your positive vibes and participation are already a great gift. Together, we are spreading more light, more love, and more knowledge to the world. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey. May your journey be filled with growth, learning, and connection with the divine. Jesus was teaching something completely different. He was showing that the true spiritual path begins when you stop seeking anything for yourself. When you love because love flows through you, not because you want to feel loved. When you heal because healing is your nature, not because you want to be recognized as a healer. This hidden commandment was so powerful that it was deliberately silenced for centuries. Why? Because it completely destroys all systems of spiritual control based on reward and punishment. If you are not seeking anything in return, no religious authority has power over you. You don't need promises of heaven or threats of hell. You act correctly simply because you have recognized who you are. The disciples who embraced this teaching became unstoppable, not because they developed extraordinary powers, but because they completely lost their fear. When you expect nothing in return, nothing can disappoint you. When you serve without seeking recognition, no criticism can shake you. When you love unconditionally, no rejection can hurt you. This is the absolute freedom that Jesus promised. Not the freedom to do what you want, but the freedom to be who you truly are. Without masks, without defenses, without games. To be the light that shines simply because shining is your essential nature. To transform every simple act, every daily gesture, into a pure expression of divine consciousness. Washing dishes can be a sacred act if you do it without expecting praise. Work can be a spiritual practice if you serve without seeking status. Talking to a stranger can be a miracle if you offer your presence without a hidden agenda. Everything transforms when you stop living to receive and start living to be. If you've made it this far, your soul already knows this message was meant for you. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe deeply. Feel the living presence of Christ, not as something distant, but as the very essence pulsating within your heart at this very moment. You don't need to search outside for what has always dwelt within. Jesus' last teaching wasn't a complicated technique. It was a simple invitation. Remember who you truly are. The light you seek is not in stone temples, not in sacred books, not in external masters. It is here, now, breathing through you. And when you finally recognize this, when you stop seeking and begin to be, everything changes. The kingdom of God is not a place you go to. It is what you are when you remove all illusions. And that has always been the ultimate teaching. Awaken. You are already the Christ you seek. You always have been. You just forgot for a moment. Comment now, "I awaken the Christ within me," and allow this affirmation to resonate in every cell of your being. Share this video with anyone you know who is ready to hear this truth. And subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of spiritual revelation.